Welcome to Landlord Diaries, where we talk about midterm rentals and the opportunities behind them. We'll share landlord stories, talk about maximizing investment potential, and discuss how to live the very best landlord life. This podcast is proudly brought to you by Furnished Finder, the place for everything midterm rentals. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content.
We are back. Another great episode of the Landlord Diaries. This is Kelly Bailey, your host in the Austin, Texas area, and I'm excited to embrace more of the corporate housing side of the industry today.
And hello everyone, my name is Katie Lyon and I am here with Kelly today. We get to talk to a little bit of a power couple today that have really made some waves in the corporate housing and insurance claim market. And these two are so sharp. They've come up with a lot of strategies and they have taken a section of the market that has very little demand, but also very little supply. And figured out how to really make it work for themselves. So I'm excited for everyone to listen in and see what you can take from their expertise. Just as a reminder, this episode and every episode is brought to you by Furnished Finder. We are the one-stop shop from everything midterm rentals. We also have a sister company, KeyCheck, that you can use for leases, tenant screenings, online payments. So we really try to get you taken care of from start to finish. And to list your property on the site is only $99 a year. It's a steal. It's a steal. So we hope you enjoy this episode. If you do, please don't forget to give us some comments, some feedback, some reviews, and, let us know how we're doing. Thanks, everyone.
Today we talk with the founders of iStayAtlanta.com. Ibrahim Noohu and Nahid Ibrahim. iStay Atlanta specializes in corporate housing, is the largest owner of independent furnished housing in the area, and a leader in providing midterm luxury furnished temporary housing. Their portfolio includes mostly 3 or 4 bedroom homes at higher prices in 5 different areas of Atlanta, all with at least a 30-day minimum stay, some 90 days. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. How are you both?
Good.
Doing good.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, sir. It's our pleasure. So let's jump into the first question. We had the privilege of meeting this lovely couple at the CHPA conference, the CHPA conference. And we're looking forward to talking to them further on the Landlord Diaries. So, guys, what were your big takeaways from the CHPA conference?
CHPA conference each year is widening our, the way we want to do the business. Our networking is a big thing. We get to understand the products that we can use in our business, expand our business. So it's all about networking, getting to know a person like Kelly, who has introduced us to Furnished Finder. So that's we have been adding the third-party lead generation products and as well as the technology tools to make our business go to the next level. So CHPA is always good in bringing all of us together at a time.
So the biggest takeaway is networking.
Networking. That's so valuable in hospitality and housing for sure. And we had the privilege of meeting so many lovely Furnished Finder hosts at the conference. So you two being one of those, because you already had a couple houses on the website, and I think you've added a few more since then. So we'll keep talking further as we go on. But in general, we like to kind of understand who you are and why you're even doing this in the first place. So why did you two decide to get into corporate housing in general?
Okay, basically, I was a IT consultant, software company or computer consultant. It's about 2016 I became a full-time realtor, but that real estate licensing gave me the idea to think what to do next, because I did not want to be one among those agents doing those buying and selling. We're looking to see what we can do, and I started specialized in dealing with investment properties, having a lot of my clients buy and lease out properties. A lot of properties we were doing around student housing, university, around Kennesaw here.
Mhm.
At the point I felt, okay, we need to do something more than that, than just collecting the rent and maintaining others' property. The gap was like there's not many people who are doing, house independent houses for a short-term rental. Each time I give a house for leasing, I get a call from somebody on the midterm lease, like from an insurance agent or insurance housing provider, asking me, why not you provide this house with furnished way, with the furnitures, we give you a higher percentage of return.
Nice.
That kind of clicked on my mind. What if I had 5 of these properties? I don't have to do, the passive income is good enough that I can be really happy doing something. The investor gets his money, I make something over it even without owning a property.
Hmm.
That's what's the trigger point for me. And I came home that point of time. My wife is running a robotics training company,
Mm.
and we just wanted to, we were going through
I
certain.
used to do STEM education for elementary schools here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I liked what I was doing, but still, I was not making that kind of a money. And technology was still not my cup of tea. I'd like to do something more creative. So when he told me we will start doing Airbnb in one of the properties that he had, and then I was like, yeah, why not? Let's try one house. And that's how we started with the first property with an Airbnb, which was like a 6 bedroom property.
Nice.
I was attending, like we were mentioning about the network, I kept attending. There is something called AMSTRA here, Atlanta
Mm.
Metro Short Term Rental Association. I've been attending networking, and I see young people making a lot of money, not even owning one property, but it is others' property, and all of them make money. I was Each time I attend the network, I meet new people, get new idea. Then something came onto me and said, okay, we can be far better than them because I have control over the properties and the investors.
Hmm.
That's where we started this business.
So tell us a little bit more about your portfolio, how many properties you have now, and how you scaled to that level, because I know that's a challenge for a lot of property owners.
Okay. Okay. Our portfolio includes two types of properties. One is we master lease. The other one is we are doing like a third party. Some people maintain my clients maintain the property. We only run through like a rental, margin on that property, like, maintenance. So we have currently about 18 properties, which is our portfolio, which we own and master lease on them. Okay. The rest of there's about another 12 of them where we only do rental on a need based, so where we share some commission on part of it, but on a need based we take it from them. Totally it's running around 30 properties is the number we have right now. And except for two properties, two condos, the rest is all single family homes in the north of Atlanta.
So let me ask you a question, because we're seeing a theme here throughout a couple of our episodes, is that one, as a real, there's thousands of real estate agents out there, right? Probably, I don't even know what the number is in the nation. Do you happen to know the statistics there? How many real estate agents there are in the nation?
It's
Okay if you
runs
don't.
millions. I'll tell you, Atlanta, right in my name area, it's more over 3,600 for
Okay.
the 4 Keller Williams that I'm with.
Okay, for your area. Awesome. So in general, there's agents everywhere, but we're seeing that it's rare to have both a real estate agent and the same person to manage your properties as well, that not only has their own investment properties but has figured out, hey, we enjoy doing this, we're currently doing it with our own properties and want to do it with other people's properties as well. So is that something that you offer? Do your real estate clients also roll under you and on the management side sometimes as well?
We do not offer management, but yes,
Hmm.
we offer my real estate agents are one of the primary sources for getting clients for me. So
Okay.
yeah, we keep marketing to them because they have needs. Sometimes clients come to town and they don't have
Relocation clients.
Hmm.
relocation clients. They do
Okay.
not have a house for a period of time, or they've sold a house. The last year's real estate market was crazy. People sold the house. They did not have the next house for the next 3 to 4 months.
So we housed a
Yep.
lot of people like that.
So
Nice.
that's the point we kind of market to the real estate agents. So
Okay.
that's the take.
Cool.
Anytime that you can kind of combine those services and really be like a full service provider, it's A, you're expanding your business, but B, you're also like really increasing your value, right? And that's where I think the true magic of like business happens and you get to grow is when, yes, you found a way to make money, you found a way to profit and grow your business, but you're also found a way to serve people in an increasing amount of ways. So I think that's really smart and wise. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about your plans for kind of the next stage of your business. I know right now you're all based in Atlanta, correct? Do you have any plans to expand locations, or are you going, as they say, deep in that location?
For now, I think for the next maybe less than a year, we will be going deep in our location because each day we are learning a lot of things from this industry. We have not done a single apartment, but 95% of the people are doing this business with apartments going through a third party. So we are learning it and we are getting help from our colleagues in CHPA. They're helping us understand how to do it. And we are going that route. Once we have good knowledge, first thing is to understand knowledge and network is something that we are trying to build up being in the same location. But we have a lot of other plans. The next target is to go into Austin or Nashville again. So those are the two
Come
cities.
on.
Those are the two cities we are looking because we have another investors partners who own multifamily in Austin, Texas.
Cedar Park, right? In the suburb of Cedar Park?
Cedar
Yes,
Park.
Cedar Park.
Awesome.
And they have few multifamily properties. They do not know what this corporate housing business is. So we want to do it for them. We can partner in their property, our experience, and we want to partner in together. For now, because if I start traveling a lot, my real estate business also will get hit. So I'm trying to avoid not moving out of Atlanta.
So this year we are trying to move more into apartments and see how it's going to work.
Okay.
I think that's great. That's smart. You figured out one sector, see the demand for another, and are kind of strategically expanding, but being smart about it. So you're not just jumping in, right? Taking your time to figure it all out.
Yep, that's right.
Yes.
Before we jump away from the larger homes, though, why did y'all choose those 3 to 4 bedroom homes in the first place? And those specific 5 areas that you're in Atlanta, and how is it going? Is your tenant pool limited, or do you feel like the larger homes give you this niche market that sets you apart from others in the industry?
Okay, larger homes are highly profitable because there is not many competition, but very high risk. If they are vacant, it is like a huge expense for us.
Yeah, we
Right.
have to manage all the rent and the utilities because we cannot stop it. We have to keep paying it. And sometimes the winter is bad, like from October to January, it's a little tough period for us.
Okay.
But smaller ones, typically 3 bedroom is ideal, which we have noticed because people asking 2 bedroom, we can give them
A
go
three
ahead
bedroom.
at the same rent, we can
Mhm.
give a 3 bedroom house. Somebody coming in for a 4 bedroom, we try and convince them for a 3 bedroom to go because most of the cases, the people who are coming through the insurance are just 2, 3 people in the family, not many, but they ask for a 4 bedroom for just because they have to request a 4 bedroom. So once we talk to them, 3 bedroom ideally fits between 2 to 4. But if somebody is really looking for a 6 bedroom, is when we are caught. That's when I told you we try to reach out to somebody in the neighborhood who's trying to rent. We rented and sub rented immediately for a period, 6 months or a 9 months period. So that's how we've been.
6 bedroom, the demand is really low, definitely. 3 bedroom is the ideal, I would say.
Nice.
And this is for kind of the corporate housing insurance
housing, yes.
claim type of tenant pool, just so that everyone is clear, because there is a really, as we keep expanding this midterm rental demand and kind of awareness, there's demand for everything from a tiny little studio apartment, like you said, up to a 6-bedroom place. It just kind of depends on what niche or what avatar that you are focused on, and then your marketing strategy, your business development strategy is all going to follow suit with that, right? So yeah, I think that's really important to note here is if you're going after travel nurses or medical professionals, you might have a harder time if you have a 3-bedroom
Yeah,
place.
definitely.
But if you're going after, yeah, like relocation clients, corporate housing, people who are high up executives who their company's given them a few months to find a house, like that's the perfect fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our target is very clear about focusing on the insurance and relocation. Sometimes, some sports and entertainment. We
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 have high-end properties in an area called Buckhead where we house all kinds of sports personalities.
and entertainment people. So that's something
Some
that, yeah, that's the reason we are trying to stay within. We have spoken to some companies, insurance and other providing agencies. They like us. They say stay in this market because there's not many people providing a single family homes.
hmm
Apartments, the high risk. There is a little bit of a thing with apartments is we need to be going, like you said, with the nurses or right now interns. Right now at the moment,
Season for interns.
yeah, season for interns. Suddenly we get a call for 20 of them or 8 of them, asking for one bedroom. And we are learning, each year, as I told you, from last year was the first CHPA we went in. 2023 was the second one we were there. We have grown within this 1 year a lot, knowing from people. It's a knowledge, maybe property wise, we have grown only about a 10 more, but we have understood. We just want to understand the details about it before we grow bigger.
That's
Now, I know
amazing.
Kelly has some more questions queued up that talk about listing logistics and stuff like that, and they're I'm excited to hear kind of what you guys have to say about that. But I do have a question before we get to that. You guys have talked a lot about networking and how when you're going after these different types of audiences that the approach is a little bit different, right? So for instance, when you're doing travel nurses, a lot of landlords or property owners simply list their property and then you can wait for replies, which is, especially with a site like Furnished Finder, you're going to get inquiries, you're going to get leads, like we will fill that funnel for you. But there's 2 ways to go at it, right? Offense and defense. And I think once you get into the insurance and the corporate housing world, it's a lot more offense where you're going and seeking the relationships. And that can feel daunting to a lot of people. So even though you're still going to have that balance, right? You're still going to put your property on websites. You're still probably going to have a listing on Furnish Finder or Airbnb or Zillow or whatever it may be. What are maybe your top 2 or 3 tips as far as that big elephant that feels like networking? Like, where do you start? Where do what are kind of the first few things that you would tell a newbie who's looking to get into that game of networking? Because that can feel really, really daunting.
hmm
Yeah, we actually figured it out this year. When we are doing networking, we need to be clear who we are going behind to talk to. The last year when we came in for CHPA, we were trying to become friend or talk to everybody and anybody whom we meet. But the time is limited. They don't want to talk to us. Then
mm
over a year, we know who needs the kind of house we have got, insurance agents. And we are not going to the suppliers, we are going to the lead source. Okay,
mm
a company which needs me. Okay,
hmm
they need some supplier in Atlanta or any other place. I have the capacity to expand to another city in the same model, but I want to find who needs me, not the guy who's competing with me. I don't want to talk. I'm okay to be friendly and we can chat, but spending more time with another iStay Atlanta, like another company, doesn't add much value until we find we can share the properties.
hmm
So that is something we figured. The first tip I would say is you need to be clear on who you want to talk to when you go to the networking. I cannot spend time and my effort on companies which do not need me. A lot of companies don't need me, and there's no point in me talking to them. And we need to talk to the people like us, especially the small business group, because we can understand what technology they are using, or what are the softwares they're using to make their life easy to run the business.
Mm-hmm.
So two things were important. I would say attend the small business meets. We did one at Indianapolis. It helped us a lot. We could make more relationship with the people who are on our level or who are like 5 years, senior to us, and who can guide us to what to do. When you go to CHPA, go to the people who can give you lead. That's what we do.
You're making a really good point. So after the CHPA conference, and I haven't attended one yet because I'm just now becoming aware of it. There is a guy who offers online networking through LinkedIn, and I asked him, I was like, how many people typically show up to your monthly gatherings? Because it's just like a virtual meet in person where you can leave a chat room. Like I think the chat rooms can be 4 or 5 people at most, and then you can leave one chat room and join another chat room. So you're meeting multiple people. And I think he said it's around 60 people sometimes that join the monthly gathering. So I'll see if I can put that in the notes for everybody because that might be worth trying because it's a cost efficient way of networking
Yeah.
without having to go get a hotel room, travel somewhere, meet up with people.
Yes.
So that's really good. That's really good advice, guys. I like that. Katie,
We
anything to add
tried that.
to there?
We tried that in the beginning, but we found most of the networking people were either in the South America or Europe based, so it
Interesting.
doesn't add much value to us. And thing is, quickly within 3-4 minutes, people keep moving between rooms. You don't find the relationship or a bond created. That's
Mm,
the negative
The
side
main
for the.
thing is, I think, when you meet
okay.
people, there's that relationship. You can put a face to the name, and then you'll always remember them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
For
See, we
sure.
met you
Yeah.
on both at
Yeah, we met you on a booth, and
both
see,
at
we remember you.
yeah. So
Uh-huh.
we could relate. Okay,
We
we
could
know,
relate to you.
and say
So
okay,
when
we
you do
can
that online, I don't know how the
bonding will be.
bonding will happen. Yeah.
Good point. Good
It might
point.
be a good way to get the ball rolling, but then I
Mm-hmm.
think, the you have to take the follow up and you've got to take that and say, okay, I think this might be a good person for me to have a relationship, and you have to take the initiative to really take it across the finish line.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like I think that's great advice for anyone is just, put yourself out there, but pay attention to who you're putting yourself out there to.
Yeah.
Yep. Episode 15 was Ziana. She just announced, and by the time this episode's released, I'm sure it'll be a couple months, but she was part of a podcast called the Investify podcast, and she just announced that she is moving on to other things, and that was her last episode that I was catching this week. And she's one of the focuses of the episode. It's with the uh money, who's that? What's the money guy? What's his name? Mr. Money Mustache. It was with Mr. Money Mustache and how to keep joy through, building passive income and all of the things that come with that financial independence, retire early. And one of the focuses was you can't say yes all the time. If you're saying yes to everyone, you're going to be spread too thin and not be valuable, or
Mm-hmm.
or your quality goes down. So it was a really good episode to listen to. But
Yeah.
um, I think before we move on to landlord logistics, the last part I want to make sure and cover in this section is why did y'all choose those 5 areas that you're in Atlanta, specifically those areas? And I think y'all are also, when you're gaining new properties, you're trying to, focus on where insurance clients are. So how is that process working, and how are your 5 areas doing?
It's doing excellent, and we have been actually making a better move within that locations where exactly to have the houses. The reason we chose these areas, if you know the geography of Atlanta, these are much safer zone. People would like to live here, and a higher income area,
Hmm.
and the revenue is more, rent is more, and profit is more.
Okay.
And easier for us, it's a easy commute because if I'm not here, Nahid or any of our cleaners can move around easy, don't have to spend a lot of time on the road. we will be able to reach any place within 40 minutes of drive. So we
Nice.
chose these areas because, as I mentioned, I've been a realtor for some time,
Mhm.
understand where good schoolings are. So, yeah, where good schooling zones, people come from high, very expensive houses. The insurance companies have high budget to spend. We give them good houses. High risk, yes, because if the house is vacant for a month, we pay a heavy rent to the
Mhm.
landlord. But we take that risk because unless you move and take yourself a risk, we're not going to get it. So that's the reason we chose all these 5 zones, because they are being a little nicer part of the city, Atlanta.
Okay. Awesome. Have you found that that scales your profitability as well? What is a standard, like if we're going to look at overall your portfolio and analyze what's coming in a month versus if it stays vacant, is that cash flow a lot higher because it's more sought after larger luxurious properties, or what does that look like profitability wise?
Profitability wise, yeah, luxury properties bring high profit, but high risk.
Okay.
There are properties in Bucket where we pay heavy rent, but if it is vacant for a month,
Hmm.
it really hits us bad. But if it's
It's occupied,
occupied,
it's good. We make good money out of it.
it covers three.
I think that's like the supply and demand, and then you add a risk factor, right? Like, I feel like somehow those charts would all intersect if I was an economist, because yeah, we've been talking to a lot of people who have these larger rentals, and there is demand. It's smaller, but the supply is also smaller.
Very,
Supply
But then
is
you
very small.
very
Very
small.
true.
Right. Supply is
Because
very
you
small.
need
Demand is, yeah. But then you think, okay, if I go a month without rent, I got to cover a mortgage or I've got to cover a hefty rent. So it's almost just like everything has to be bigger, right?
Hmm.
The smaller the demand, the smaller the supply, the bigger your padding has to be, the bigger your cushion, but the bigger your profits are. So you just have to prepare yourself for it, I think. Which I don't know about you, Kelly, but I think everyone that we've talked to that's a professional with these larger homes is, you guys are definitely sharp enough and prepared enough that you've got that in the bank, right? Like it would be a little bit of a gut punch, but like you're still afloat, you're still fine. But
Yep.
yeah, it's I
Again,
think it's
it's
a really
the time of the year. If the bigger properties, if we cross February, March, we are a little more confident. Sometimes, a person comes for 2 months rent on the same property, they offer 4 months revenue for us.
right.
We
Mhm.
just have to, because they are come on a short-term visit from some other foreign country.
So we have some VIPs who come from other countries and they want to stay
Mm.
in the centrally located place and in a nicer house. They don't mind paying Airbnb price.
Yeah, they pay heavy
Mhm.
price
So
for
in
it.
that way, we are okay. So it's okay to go through the loss in winter times and then make up for it in the peak times.
Yep,
Right.
for sure. And we hear,
Yep.
relative, because pricing, of course, changes around the country. So while what's an average price for your homes? What's the range?
It's 5K, 4,500 to 5,500 is the average
Yeah.
price we have.
Okay, and that's 3 to 4 bedrooms. Okay, and
Yeah.
then I have I have 2 3-bedroom, 2 baths that around the same. I try to keep them around 4,000 for now and adjust it throughout the year as needed. Sometimes I'll take
Same
it
thing.
down to
Yes.
3,500. Yep.
Yeah.
And then you think of California insurance claims, and they're up to 7,000 to 12,000 per month sometimes. So it ranges depending where you are around the country, which is interesting. Um, I think I'm going to add in a little fun fact here. So I've only ever been to Atlanta once. It was a great trip to Atlanta. When I was working for the land division of CoStar, we would attend auction conferences around the country. So one of them was near Atlanta in one of the suburbs. I can't remember the name of the suburb right now. I think it's actually maybe like a 2-hour drive. And I absolutely loved my highlight of Atlanta for that short time I was there was going to World of
Oh,
Coca-Cola.
yes.
That was so cool to be able. One, everyone wants to see the polar bear, right? Who doesn't? It's like the Coca-Cola staple is a polar bear. But there's this room where you go into a huge open room with like 5 stations of fountain drinks, and they allow you to sample all the different sodas from around the world, sodas
Yes.
in Thailand or Vietnam or in Africa. It's really cool if you've never been to Atlanta and tried World of Coke. So I just want to add that tidbit in there for everyone. Have
Now,
have you had a new favorite Coke from going there?
No,
no, yeah.
nothing new.
I think I tried like a lychee soda. That one, I'm a sucker for lychee, so it was really good.
Oh, really? Okay.
All
I'll try
right.
time.
Wait,
Yeah,
are you trying to say leche?
I call it lychee. Tomato. What do you call it?
Wait, are you talking like dulce de leche?
No. The fruit, Lychee.
Lychee.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of that. I was like,
It's
what is she
good.
saying from Texas?
If you go to a high-end grocery store, just grab some lychee, you peel them, you eat them, they're really good. But okay, let's
New to me.
transition to landlord logistics. So, out of all these houses that we've been talking about, single family homes in a variety of areas in Atlanta, are most of them in HOAs? And if so, how do you navigate that to make sure that the HOA is, 30-day plus friendly versus 6-month minimum, things like that?
Now we try, and we are right now buying only places where there is no HOA restrictions. Or we try to look for, there are some loopholes. As a real estate agent, I understand where a place HOA is managed by the whole neighborhood. There's no management company which
Hmm.
can come behind us. So we try to be in a property where there is zero HOA, no restrictions, no sort of anybody coming behind us. We don't want to deal with that. So
Nice.
that's
That becomes difficult if we have such kind of restrictions.
Yep. And I do have 2 in a HOA. And for those of you that are considering whether or not an HOA is a good fit, one, there's an excellent podcast that I'll link that kind of has you, um, it emphasizes what are the important things to check for an HOA before you buy. But in general, now that we have been part of this community for a little over a year, first we decided let's put Dave on the HOA, make sure like it's a good fit. So as through our first year of owning the property, Dave was on the HOA. Now we know that it's not, no one can really change that 30-day minimum because it has to have 80% of the votes to be able to actually change anything in the HOA documents. So that was a relief, but it's also then you can't go short-term rental either. It's like we will happily stay in midterm rental, but it would be a killer area for short-term as well. But I'm with you. Like if you can avoid HOAs, that's nice. But then a lot of people also say then maybe your neighbors bring in RVs or boats or things that make it, look a little different, which is why you're in nicer areas of Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually, one of our properties is a condo, but it's in an HOA, which I know is like crazy common for shared properties like that. And I love it because I don't have to worry about landscaping. I don't have to
Yep.
worry about the roof. I don't have to worry about shoveling. I don't have to worry about if there's a storm and the siding gets hit. I'm like, not my problem. So, but you're right. You have to know the ins and outs of the HOA and know the rules and the policies and what's acceptable. So, okay. So speaking of those, which I feel like are 2 learning curves that Kelly and I have both learned through our midterm rental journeys, I'd love to hear you guys as some of the lessons you have learned, because definitely by getting to the scale that you're at today, you must have gone through some learning, some learning curves and some hard lessons. So tell us about maybe some of the things that you learned the hard way, or some things that looking back you wish you would have known a little bit earlier.
Okay. What we learned hard way is not to buy too big a house, and like you said, having, and especially the locations where to buy the property. That's a big learning curve, so that we don't hold in a vacant property for a long time.
Mm.
The other thing is who to deal with. Like I said, we just chose to be on the insurances radar more because not many people are competing with us. We want to be a different animal, and so they can identify that we are the only people providing houses in these nicer locations. And we took a time because we had bought properties in the wrong places. And
Also, I would say we would never buy older properties because
Okay.
yeah,
anytime some insurance clients come in, everybody, even though it's a short term, they want a pretty place. They want a newer, modern house with modern bathrooms, with modern open kitchen. Earlier, when we used to invest in our properties, we bought like old houses which had no HOA, and we just did a little bit of,
updates.
updates,
Mhm.
and we said, okay, let's go. But then we saw that those houses don't go.
Okay.
So anytime it's a modern house with all new updates, people love it. Even though they want to stay for 1 month or 2 months, the house has to be new and nice.
I think that's all about knowing your audience too, right?
Yes.
Because like you said, you guys are not working with the budget travelers. So your travelers, they want high end, they want nice, they want everything, whereas maybe some traveling medical professionals or digital nomads, and I'm not trying to just stereotype here, I'm just using those as potential examples, but they might be trying to find a less expensive place and not care how cute it is or anything like that. So that, I think, like you said, goes back to knowing your audience.
It's so crazy. I love the midterm rental market because there's there's a story for every style. And I love that we can tell so many varieties of furnished finder landlords stories, because then it's like this, it's this base of knowledge that covers a wide spectrum of property types. And so I'm hearing everything you're saying and thinking, wow, that's interesting, because mine's the opposite, with my 3 bedrooms, uh, and they are older, and we don't focus on the remodeling as much, and we don't hardly get any complaints. So it's very interesting, just the different styles of guests you can get throughout the country. And sometimes I even wonder the opposite. I'm like, "Oh, why didn't they tell me about this?" Or like a guest will just decide to one, it was a dryer in our house, and they hadn't told us that it had stopped working, and instead they just put their own dryer in there. I'm like, guys, we would have taken care of this for you, very quickly, if you would have let us know. And they didn't complain about it. They just said, and they even left the dryer at the end. They're like, hey, it was an extra. We don't need it. It's like, you can keep the dryer if you want, or then of course we'd have to find a new home for it otherwise. So it's just crazy, like the different spectrum of what you can find around the country for sure.
We want them to have the best experience. So we are always there, like either me or he is always, there for
Mhm.
them to help them out with whatever issues they have.
Okay, cool.
Now that answers to you why we have properties in the first top 5 zones in the north side of Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
We can physically be there.
Even
If
we
there
can
is a
physically
call
Right,
be.
comes within 30, 40 minutes, we are there to
right.
just look, what are you talking about?
Hmm. So being present at all, I think it's around 17 plus properties that you currently manage. I'm sure your portfolio is going to grow over the years. I'm going to ask the question that's on everyone's mind. Is it exhausting having to be at every property every time someone needs something, or how have you found that life balance through the corporate housing business?
It is tough because we have to be there, and plus I am doing some of the rehab of houses,
Hmm.
as well as I'm a real estate agent
Hmm.
writing contracts for my buyers and sellers. That is my primary bread and jam for me.
Hmm.
But it's not exhausted because I am still hungry. We are learning a lot. We are learning from people who are, like I told you, when we go to Chipa, we try to see people who are like us,
Who were like us and
who
now
were
who
like,
are
who
big.
grown up, somebody who sold the company, so eager to understand from them, and their knowledge really helps. And they're really very friendly people, and so they tell us what not to do, what to do. So as we said, we want to keep around 20 of the single family home portfolio as is,
Hmm.
maintain it, make better properties. And our growth next stage is going to be having apartments on a seasonal, or for contractors, maybe
Hmm.
6 months or 9 months in a year. So that is
But I
where
think it is exhausting, but because we both love what we do, we don't feel the exhaustion that much.
Good.
And because it's we both and we stay together, it's like it's only business that we talk.
Hmm. That's
So
great.
sometimes it's hard, but then I think because we both want to grow, we want to reach a point where we can call ourselves like, we did this. So I think
Hmm.
it's not exhausting at that point of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we
It's,
have energy, not giving up for the
Not
next
giving
three
up. Yes.
next
yep.
3 years. We want to make it big one. In fact, we got offer from somebody trying to be a part of that bigger ones. We're not there. Like, we
Hmm.
said, no, I have more energy
We
to
want to
do
grow iStay
Yeah.
Atlanta.
3 more years, and then let's see at that point of time.
We're back to that scale of hosting styles
Mhm.
around the country. It's like we've got Sarah Weaver and Ziana McIntyre with the Bigger Pockets book, 30 plus 30-day stay. And the whole focus is how to manage your properties from anywhere, whether you're on the beach in Australia or down hiking in the Amazon, you can still manage your properties, and that is appealing to some people. And then you've got the other end where you want to be present with your properties and really know that you're taking care of the well. Both ends, you're taking care of the properties, of course, but it's like we have these different styles around the country that we can all learn from each other, and I love it.
And I think that's cool because there's a million different ways you can do it, right? And there's no wrong way, but what you have to do is figure out what works for you, what works for your properties. Like, all of you guys are all very close to your properties. My midterm rentals, I'm the closest one is 800 miles away from me.
Hmm.
One of them
Wow.
I've never even stepped foot in.
Hmm.
Like I've never physically been to the property. Now my family has, but our latest midterm rental, the closest family member I have is 2 hours away. So we're relying on growing a team and a network. Thankfully, it's Iowa. So
Hmm.
I have my sister's friend who's able to do some stuff and a friend's brother. Like we have some outreach there, but there's no wrong answer. You just have to kind of set up your structure for it to set you up for success, right? So I think that's really cool and really interesting. And I really like that we can present all of these different ways that you can kind of make it work, right?
Hmm. For sure. So this, I have a really good question for to address kind of the thought process for corporate housing individuals. So in general, at CHPA, we met a lot of corporate housing providers that had larger portfolios. And Katie and I, it's like a no-brainer, like $99 per year per property. Like, why would you not do that? But that's when you have up to 5 properties or up to 10 properties. But then whenever you get, a larger scale of properties and it is a larger expense, then you do kind of have to weigh those decisions a little heavier. And so what I saw was a lot of the providers that have maybe 60 properties or 100 properties or 200 properties, they'll pick 1 or 2 test properties and try out Furnished Finder. And I think you guys were doing that as well at the conference. And then we talked about it a bit, and you've had a different experience since adding a few more. So you want to tell us a little bit about that and how having 1 to 2 properties to test versus having more properties to test might makes it a little bit of a difference?
When I put the first property, I never got any response because I think I was not even checking the dashboard very
Mm,
regularly. I was like, yeah, I didn't give much thought to it. And I thought it's an expensive property. I'm not going to get anybody from Furnish Finder, and I just didn't bother. But after meeting you, and I came back and I added 3 more properties after that, and I've seen now I added that as a notification to my phone, and each time I get a request and I go and I answer that and I call them up, and it's been really good, and I like it. I
good.
think you.
And you're referring to tenant leads too, which that's one of the main reasons I say more than having like one test property, especially if you're in a metropolitan area, choose properties that are spread out around the city so that you can see every traveler coming to your area. Like
That's
in
what
my,
I did.
Mhm.
Yeah, 3 different directions, 3 properties, and I saw which is getting the most crowd.
Yep, good.
I would also encourage even those people that have larger properties. Yes, the total might feel a little bit more daunting, right? You have 10 properties, 20 properties at $99 a year, but you're always going to get better results if you list all of your actual properties, because people connect with seeing the actual property, right? They're gonna fall in love with that location or the amenities that you offer or your layout. Like, they're gonna fall in love with the actual property. And there's so much value in the leads that come in, but also like the direct booking requests and the direct messages. That's how I get a lot of traffic for my personal properties, is through people reaching out directly and saying, hey, I love your property. I want your property. And we talk about leads all the time, but it's not just about leads. It's about people who submit a request to book your property, or they send you a message and like they're ready to go. And that won't, if you're not in the game, you're not going to get the point, right? So I would encourage everyone, even though it feels bigger, still think about it as $99 per property.
Yep.
It helps it feel a little more digestible, right?
That's
Well,
right.
and for those that do have larger portfolios, reach out to Furnish Finder customer service and sales team, because they can help guide you in the right direction and put together the right package for you. Like, I'm not going to put prices out there because we want this episode to be timeless, but when you go through the process of adding a listing, it asks you, is this an individual listing? Is it a sublet? Is it an entire complex? Is it a hotel? So you can have these different options that lead you to, when you do have a larger portfolio, it does kind of package it differently for you.
Thank you. We'll do that. Yeah, as you said, we need to talk to somebody who's been using it to make better use of the application. Like, we didn't know initially there is a two different things, like a messaging and another lead, to see that, okay, how we can use that lead for the particular property for another way. So there's a lot of good things with your product. You might want to use it.
A lot of even corporate housing companies use Furnish Finder to find properties, so which is good. So you get leads even from them.
Yep,
I think you said
absolutely.
it doesn't even happen where like some of your insurance clients, you're a preferred vendor on the insurance list, and
That's
you're like, why did you reach out to me through Furnish Finder? Like, you have
Exactly.
my contact information.
I think it just first, when they want to furnish property, they go to Furnish Finder. So that's
Right?
how it is. Your property will be found through that platform.
One-stop shop.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, you got any last
Well,
questions, Katie?
I don't. It's been so great to talk with you guys. We're learning so much from all sorts of landlords, from people who are renting out a room to people who have so many large single family homes like you guys, and it's really enlightening to talk to everyone and to see the similarities and the differences and just the way that you structure your business. So thank you for being here with us today, and we can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you so much for having
Kelly and
us.
Katie.
Appreciate it. See you all next week, guys.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.